Al Capone, a name that echoes through the corridors of history, whispered in fear and awe. The name alone conjures images of a bygone era, a time when the streets were alive with the hustle and bustle of a rapidly changing world. A time when fedora-shadowed figures ruled the streets, Tommy guns barked in the night, and the clinking of glasses masked the bitter taste of illegal liquor. The air was thick with the scent of rebellion and the thrill of the forbidden. Capone, a man who embodied the roaring 20s, became synonymous with an era of American history defined by both its exuberance and its violence. His name was a symbol of the duality of the times, glamour and danger intertwined. He was a ruthless gangster, a shrewd businessman, and a captivating enigma who captivated the nation's attention. His charisma was undeniable, drawing people in even as they feared him. Born in the slums of Brooklyn, Capone rose to become the undisputed king of Chicago's underworld. His journey from a poor immigrant family to the pinnacle of criminal power is a testament to his cunning and ambition. His empire, built on a foundation of bootlegging, gambling, and vice, made him a millionaire many times over. The Prohibition era was his playground, and he played the game with unmatched skill. Politicians, judges, even law enforcement bowed to his influence, bought and paid for with the vast wealth generated by his criminal enterprises. Corruption was rampant, and Capone was at the center of it all, pulling the strings. But Capone's reign, built on blood and fear, couldn't last forever. The violence that had helped him rise to power also sowed the seeds of his downfall. The law, though often outmaneuvered, never forgot the atrocities committed under the banner of the Chicago outfit. Persistent and relentless, they chipped away at his empire piece by piece. And the American public, initially enamored by Capone's charisma and defiance, grew weary of the constant headlines detailing his brutality. The tide of public opinion turned against him, and the once admired figure became a symbol of unchecked criminality. The stage was set for a dramatic downfall, a reckoning that would forever cement Al Capone's place in the annals of American crime. His trial and subsequent imprisonment marked the end of an era, but his legend lives on, a cautionary tale of power, corruption, and the inevitable fall from grace. Alphonse Gabriel Capone's story began not in the smoky backrooms of Chicago speakeasies, but on the crowded streets of turn-of-the-century Brooklyn. The bustling city, with its mix of cultures and constant activity, was a melting pot of opportunities and challenges. Born in 1899 to Italian immigrant parents, Capone's early life was a far cry from the lavish excess he would later come to embody. His parents, Gabriele and Teresina Capone, had come to America seeking a better life, but found themselves in a world that was often unwelcoming and harsh. He was one of 9 children, growing up in a cramped tenement building in a neighborhood rife with poverty and violence. The tenements were overcrowded, with families packed into small, dark apartments. Disease and crime were rampant, and the streets outside were no safer. Life in the slums was harsh, and Capone, a bright but restless child, quickly learned that survival depended on one's ability to navigate the rough streets. He was known to be a quick learner, picking up street smarts and understanding the unspoken rules of the neighborhood. He dropped out of school at the age of 14, taking on a series of odd jobs to help support his family. From working in a candy store to laboring in a bowling alley, young Capone did whatever he could to bring in money. But these jobs were grueling and offered little reward. But the lure of easy money and the allure of power proved too strong for the ambitious young Capone to resist. The streets offered a different kind of education, one that promised quick riches and respect, albeit through dangerous means. He fell in with a local gang, the 5 Points Gang, notorious for their petty theft and street brawls. The gang was a collection of young men, many of whom were also from immigrant families, looking for a way to assert their dominance in a city that often marginalized them. It was here, under the tutelage of seasoned criminals like Johnny Torrio, that Capone received his true education. Torrio, a shrewd and calculating figure, saw potential in Capone and took him under his wing, teaching him the intricacies of the criminal underworld. He learned the art of intimidation, the value of loyalty, and the consequences of betrayal, and the brutal efficiency with which violence could be used to achieve one's goals. These lessons were not just theoretical. Capone saw them in action, witnessing firsthand the ruthless tactics employed by his mentors. Capone, quick-witted and eager to please, quickly rose through the ranks of the 5 Points Gang. His ability to think on his feet and his willingness to take risks made him a valuable asset to the gang. He was not just a follower, he was a leader in the making. He proved to be a natural criminal, displaying a chilling combination of ruthlessness and charisma. His charm allowed him to win over allies, while his brutality ensured that his enemies feared him. This duality made him a formidable figure in the underworld. But it was a bar fight, a seemingly insignificant brawl, that would forever alter the course of Capone's life, leaving him with a permanent reminder of the violence that now defined his world. The fight left him with a deep scar on his face, earning him the nickname Scarface, a moniker that would follow him for the rest of his life. The scar. It was impossible to miss, a grotesque disfigurement that ran from his left ear to his jawline, a constant reminder of a barroom brawl gone wrong. This incident, which took place in a Brooklyn bar, was a pivotal moment in Capone's life. The injury, inflicted by the brother of a woman Capone had allegedly insulted, earned him the nickname Scarface, a moniker he reportedly loathed. Despite his disdain for the nickname, it stuck with him for the rest of his life, becoming an indelible part of his identity. The scar, a physical manifestation of his violent nature, would become as much a part of his legend as any of his criminal exploits. It was a symbol of his ruthlessness and his willingness to use violence to achieve his ends. But the scar was not the only thing that defined Capone. In 1919, at the dawn of Prohibition, Capone received a fateful summons from his former mentor, Johnny Torrio, who had relocated to Chicago to manage the burgeoning bootlegging operations of the city's most powerful crime syndicate. Torrio, recognizing Capone's ruthlessness and ambition, saw in his former protege a valuable asset in the increasingly violent battle for control of Chicago's underworld. Capone, eager to escape the confines of New York and sensing an opportunity to expand his own criminal enterprise, readily accepted Torrio's offer. He saw Chicago as a land of opportunity, a place where he could build his empire. He arrived in Chicago, a city on the verge of chaos, and quickly established himself as a force to be reckoned with. Capone's arrival in Chicago marked the beginning of a new era in the city's criminal history. He orchestrated liquor drops, managed brothels, and ruthlessly eliminated any rivals who dared to challenge the dominance of Torrio's outfit. Capone's operations were meticulously planned and executed, leaving little room for error. Capone, a master of public relations, cultivated an image of himself as a benevolent benefactor, a man of the people. He donated to charities, hosted lavish parties, and presented himself as a businessman simply providing a service that the public demanded. But behind the expensive suits and the charming facade, lurked a cold-blooded killer, a man who would not hesitate to order the deaths of anyone who stood in his way. Capone's rise to power was marked by a trail of blood and violence. His ability to navigate the treacherous waters of Chicago's criminal underworld was unparalleled. Capone's strategic mind and ruthless tactics made him a formidable opponent. He built alliances with other gangsters, bribed law enforcement officials, and used his wealth to influence politicians. Capone's network of connections extended far and wide, ensuring his dominance in the criminal underworld. Despite his criminal activities, Capone was seen by some as a modern-day Robin Hood, a man who provided for the poor and stood up to the establishment. This duality made him a complex and fascinating figure, but make no mistake, Capone was a ruthless gangster who would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. His rise to power in Chicago was a testament to his cunning, ambition, and sheer force of will.